Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I think, does you know me? So welcome to the Native Organic Farm Annual Meeting, where we go through a kind of capture of the year.
Oh,
Look at
wait,
what we've done.
Andrew, we're not going to be rude, but Aaron wants to tape it. Yes. So you have to come over here and talk in the computer. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
You gotta start over. Sorry.
Okay. And so Casey and Catherine will go through a summary of the year, a bit of a look ahead. And I think we have some formal business as well with a quick vote. I think at some point there's a formal formality to it. So welcome to all the board members. I think, well, yes, all of you there. Welcome to our guests, and of course the farm staff here. So I think we all know each other. What more do I need to say? I'm going to hand it over to Casey and Catherine.
Yeah, thank you. We don't mean to be rude by sitting down, but we need to talk as closely into the mic as possible. So we will be sitting down for this portion of the presentation. So tonight's agenda, we're going to tick through a lot of these different things. Should take us about a half an hour or so. Feel free to ask questions as we go along the way, but we'll talk about a lot of what we're going to do is talk a lot about our strategic plan, which I'm going to point to on the wall over there in the nice glossy form. That'll be sprinkled throughout the presentation tonight. We'll talk about some impacts from the past year, 2023, some things we're looking forward to for 2024. And then the big one is our 50th anniversary, which is coming up next year, which is very exciting. So kind of big picture. We're going to start really, really big picture. Chris Yoder's here. What's up, Chris Yoder? Chris Yoder, grab some food. I can remember back when I first started here, my interview actually, Linda, in the interview, she said, "Can you juggle?" And I had to juggle as part of the interview. And I think that's why I got the job. But I feel like this organization, we juggle really well between the three things you see up there, the education, the production, and all the internal work that goes on. It's a really amazing group of people that work here that can both educate and do at the same exact time. We blend those really well together. We all kind of juggle on a day-to-day basis from, oh, the basement's flooded. Let's stop what we're doing and go deal with the basement. Oh, now we're chasing pigs. Let's go do that, right? We all juggle really, really well around here. A lot of the work, we'll talk a little bit about this with the SOAR plan. SOAR is a group that came and helped us, which feels like a year and a half ago now. A year ago?
A year?
A year ago. SOAR really helped us with our vision statement, which we'll talk a little bit about when we dig into that piece there. That's our second objective here. We envision a day when. We'll talk a little bit about that. But they also helped us with our core values as we kind of look at ourselves internally, say, who are we? What do we represent? And there's a lot of core values there, but I think some to highlight in terms of resiliency. Like when we go through the staff members that are here, it's amazing to see how resilient we are, how we can bounce back. Another one that always pops out at me is kind of the two together, community and compassion. Like we're a very compassionate bunch. We really take care of each other when things go wrong or when they're right. And then inclusivity in terms of like we welcome anyone here, regardless of skill, regardless of age, regardless of where you are. Come with us, essentially. And so we're now going to go through all of these members. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the production staff. So we have Haley as our livestock manager, doing a really amazing job on that side. Mike is our flower manager. Jen is present in the room here. Jen is one of our people who can juggle really well in between the back office and then jumping out in the field to do vegetable work. And Jackie's probably our longest running employee, working here for over 13 or 14 years, starting out in a program with the high school, and now it just comes 3 days a week is really amazing. And then all the people that you see along the bottom. So one of the best parts about the job is working with all these different people, from Matthias on my left, going all the way across to like Mira and all the volunteers that we have, all the part-time staff, all the apprentices, all the teens. They make a big chunk of what we do here and how this place really functions. And they're just an amazing, really fun group to work with. It's very energizing to around 2:30 to 3 o'clock when all these faces show up and say, I'm here to work. And then it just gets you through the end of the day because there's so much energy of all the folks that are here.
Our education team is comprised at last count of 34 teachers who taught with us last year. Some folks were here for a week or two for the summer. Other folks have been here for multiple years. So in the top row here, our team includes Emily, who is our school scout and volunteer coordinator. Among many other new things Emily's tried this year was the return of our birthday parties, which have been this wonderfully unexpected runaway hit, engaging both member families and new families. So she's been handling a lot of those weekend activities, along with our teachers, welcoming new families to the farm. Tracy and Natalie are in the top row on the right. Natalie is our TerraCore service member. TerraCore is a program of AmeriCorps placing service members at organizations like ours focused on conservation and education. And then Tracy is known for many things on the farm, including her amazing Halloween costumes. So that's her there. Tracy is the lead teacher in our forest gnomes program, our program for children ages 3 to 5 during the school year. And Tracy and Natalie are teaching in after school as well. The other wonderful faces represent the rest of those 34 teachers in summer programs, school vacation weeks, programs for homeschoolers, and after school that you'll hear more about as the evening goes on. Our internal operations team is represented here by Jen and Erin. Nikki is our assistant director of internal operations. She's with her family in the UK this week, but she sends a very warm hello. Erin is our marketing and communications coordinator. Jen is our donor and membership coordinator when she's in the office. So thank you, Jen, for those two roles. And then, of course, Suzanne Hayes, our finance person. Her title is different depending on the day, but I would say our finance person, where would we be without Suzanne? This internal operations team covers everything from corporate partnerships, fundraising, marketing, and communications. So we often lovingly call them the back office, lest anyone think that's pejorative. We say that with love, with that team covering so much of the infrastructure that keeps us running.
They're in heated space.
That is true.
That's true. It's the first place Mary comes and she goes right to the back room.
The heat is off.
Andrew, would you mind introducing members of the board?
Yeah, so
oh yeah, it's not talk into the screen.
In terms of the board members here, I get to look at this. I can do it. First of all, I'm going to pause on Mary because Mary is the outgoing president and has dedicated, I don't know how many years to the farm. So I really want to say a big thank you to Mary for all that she's brought, of course, being instrumental in building the new barn as well. So what a legacy to leave. So Mary, outgoing president, thank you very much. I'm the new president. You can see my farm 5K. Patty, thank you for organising the 5K. You can see Patty, Luke there. Leanne, our clerk, and Tom, our treasurer, at the back there, just before he disappears. And we're also pleased to have new members like Eric, I'll mention also, Anne and Becca, and of course Dave, who will be here tonight, some of our new members, and our student members, Hildy, hoping you can find someone new when you graduate out of college, and Max. And I think I skipped over Henry, so they're all here. So we are very pleased to be board members, serving the farm. And if anyone knows more people who'd like to join, we're always looking to have people passionate about the farm.
Thanks, Andrew. So we'll now dig in a little bit to some of the impacts and the highlights from the past year. The one thing I'll say, even though we're separating them out, they very much work together. One can't exist without the other. So the production can't exist without the education, and all those kind of pieces work together. And so when I think about the past year, it's quite amazing that we now have 15 year-round teams at the farm, which is really amazing. We have a nice pipeline program of our apprenticeship, which comes from the working farmers from the summer, which then goes into all of our part-time employees as well. Max, Hildy, two are in the room tonight. It's a really nice testament to what we do here in terms of how we're teaching people, not just things like how to run a drill, but like bigger life skills. And so it's nice that we can bring them back over and over and over. This year we have six. This fall we have six apprentices, and that means we have 9 part-time teens. Many of them will be leaving for college very soon, right, Hildy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be sad when Hildy leaves. In terms of our CSA offerings, we continue to increase the number of CSAs that we have and not necessarily meet the demand, but we keep rising and rising and rising. People keep asking for more. This year, we talked about this in the past meeting. We had our vegetable CSA, our flour CSA, a meat CSA, and then a mushroom CSA as well, which was really nice. And we just keep producing, and people keep wanting more and more and more. We continue to do the senior CSA as well, which is a partnership with community services. It's really great. We grow the food, we package it up, volunteers from community services pick it up and take it to people's house. And that was really instrumental during COVID because people didn't want to come out. We were able to grow that food and send it off to them, which was really nice. And then this is one of my favorite pictures of the year. This was Haley, our livestock manager. This just, for me, epitomizes what we do here. There's jobs that are super technically tough, and then there's jobs that are tougher because you're doing it with a group of 14 working farmers around you. So this day, Haley was teaching a lesson about castration. And so it was amazing for me to step back for a second and watch Haley do this. So not only did she teach, but she also integrated all the working farmers into that process as well. And it worked out so beautifully. The kids got really involved in it. They really love it. The animals are a big draw here for a lot of the kids that come. And so Haley is really great at integrating all those folks into it.
On the education side this year, there's so many things, hard to narrow it down to 3. But to me, our homeschool program and our after school program stand out as particular bright spots, not only in terms of the number of students enrolled, but in the different format that we chose this year. Historically, we've done shorter semesters throughout the year, maybe 6-ish weeks. This year, we decided to experiment with something new based on family feedback and go with semester length programs, which so far has been an experiment worth running. We've had 35 students enrolled in homeschool, almost 100 after schoolers coming through for the year. That's important to us, not only with our proximity to Memorial School, but that's a conversation townwide in Natick, finding more spots for after schoolers. This longer semester length has enabled the students and us as the teachers to build more community with the students, and then to see their competence and confidence grow that much. In the past, with the shorter semesters, the students might only get to do a few of the chores, maybe just once or twice. But now to see, kind of at the midpoint of the semester, the teachers show up, we're supporting the students, and most of the students, whether they can read the chore sheet or are a pre-reader, are able to work together and really kind of hit the ground running. They know where everything is. So that's been something I've loved seeing with these longer semesters, both that confidence and competence in their own work, as well as community and making friends that you don't go to school with. Moving on to our educators, I think I say this every time, but it remains true. Our educators are diverse in age and experience. Our youngest staff teacher this year was 15, and our most senior staff are 50 plus, which is, again, another part of what we do, that intergenerational work. The mentoring that's happening within the teacher community too. It's really remarkable. The care and all of the interpersonal skills our more seasoned teachers are modeling for the younger, not even younger teachers, just newer teachers of any age, has been really a pleasure to see. And our teachers' flexibility and hard work, and just the number of people who we have in our teaching orbit are helping us respond to kind of changing market conditions and changing family needs at this point in the pandemic too. So I'm really especially grateful to our teachers for that work. And then I want to share a little bit about some leadership development opportunities we've been piloting for middle schoolers. Historically, the middle schoolers were LITs, leaders in training, in our summer programs, and they were a big help to our summer programs. What we started seeing with the return to in-person schooling was a need in town for some programs for middle schoolers, but not quite enough interest here on the farm to hire a teacher for 1 or 2 middle schoolers a day. So what we've started doing this year is having those middle schoolers join us on those semester-long programs as leaders in training with us. So that's been, again, hopefully a way to meet family demand, give students an opportunity to learn more about the farm, practice their leadership skills, and it's giving us a pipeline to the apprentice program as well. So I'm looking forward to their applications. Some of them are counting down the weeks until they're eligible to apply. On internal operations, I mean, again, one of the headlines of 2023 was returning to in-person events. Maple Magic was back in person over at the Memorial School. Family Farm Day had almost 350 people attend through the gates. Erin, Jen, our colleague Nikki, others represented the farm at more than 20 discrete events around town, not including, is this right, Erin, the farmers market. Farmers market was its whole own thing. So we were a almost weekly presence at the Natick Farmers Market as well. All worth celebrating. The annual appeal has surpassed our fundraising goal. So thanks to the support of our very generous community, there are many ways to support the farm. Being here tonight, making a financial gift, tuning into this recording later. So just on behalf of the farm team, thank you. That was I do think I try not to speak for everybody, but I do think I speak for everyone when I say we're very grateful for that financial support. We have the SOAR strategic plan on here as another headline. As Casey mentioned, these are a group of very seasoned pro bono consultants who worked with nonprofits over 8 or 9 months defining our mission, vision, values. It's kind of amazing that a lot of our work has been distilled down, very thoughtfully distilled down into this, and we'll be able to share a little bit more about that both tonight and in the coming months.
I think one of the amazing things was the harvest dinner this year from the back side of it. So speaking to the level of resiliency and just it was the 4 of us sitting in the back room looking at a grid, which Catherine made, because I don't know if you remember, but there was a hurricane that came through at that time. And losing a key staff member and all of us going, which day do we choose? Da, da, da. And we just chose a day based on Catherine's grid and the variables, and we went with it. And it was beautiful. It was a wonderful, wonderful event to be able to pull off in between variables that we couldn't really control. It was definitely a highlight for me. A barn update. Mary, I feel like you've given enough barn updates, but I feel like you could also give a master class on project management, given the amount of time you put in on this barn. But let me echo what Andrew's saying. Thank you for all the hours that you've put in on this barn. The current iteration you see here is not where we are. Fortunately, they started moving towards the greenhouse today, putting that piece up. But there's a thank you to say thank you, Mary and Tom, for all the work you've put in on it. But there's also a big thank you to the community for helping to support it financially as we've gone through. It's kind of amazing what just over 2 years ago, we lost the barn to the fire, and now we're almost rebuilt. It's kind of an amazing process. Do you want to talk about anything with the barn, Mary? Or? I'm very much putting you on the spot.
It's less than a year since we broke ground. And I think we will be done within 1 year breaking ground. So that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a lot of things that have to be put into place before we could start. Just the plans, the funding, and we had to amend our lease with the town. So very important things that had to be in place. So that took almost 2 years. You know, plus really deciding in the beginning how we were going to build it. You know, we to honor the old barn, and the community really wanted that. So I'm very glad that we've been able to do that. obviously they have expensive tastes. But it really does honor our old barn. And it's going to be a great, it's just such a, I mean, the people are the heart of this farm, but that's a close second, you know, where you can all go through and see and smell the hay and apples and plums. Yeah, it's a special place.
And soon you'll be able to see the barn opening, to be determined when we get the greenhouse open and all the permits finalized and inspections and all those different things.
Celebrating. Just clear the day.
Okay, very well. Go ahead.
There's so much that I'm looking forward to sharing about our strategic plan, trying to talk about just a few priorities tonight. We've been thinking about all of our strategic plan objectives on all sorts of different axes and spectrums. Don't know what plural is. But tonight, the spectrum I'm thinking about is objectives that are more internally focused versus those more externally focused. One way we could measure that is the number of people impacted and reached through this work. So with the help of the team from SOAR, the goals we have up here tonight, as we look ahead on this 5-year plan, we're continuing to invest in our team, looking at professional development opportunities, how we can fund those and how we can offer those on and off the farm. It's the winter right now. It is conference season. So some of the team will be able to travel and attend regional conferences. And we hope to continue that and more offsite and here at the farm. We're continue to keep an eye on compensation, how that benchmarks to our peer organizations, and assessing annually kind of how we're doing versus our peer organizations, and adjusting as we need to attract the really exceptionally talented farmers and teachers, people who are both here, these very unique, skilled people. Kind of progressing along our spectrum here, we're thinking about community partnerships as well. That is everything from both growing the number of individual members as well as deepening those connections. Jen ran a crafternoon with the members this fall, very cozy around the wood stove. So thinking about ways that are mission aligned and perhaps relatively light lift, at least in the beginning, that we can be deepening those connections. Of course, thinking about corporate partnerships as well, whether organizations are coming through to volunteer and or partnering with us on projects like the Harvest Dinner fundraiser. And then thinking, of course, about our nonprofit partnerships, ever mindful of our special relationship with the town of Natick, but also other nonprofits in the area, even school and scout groups, thinking about service and volunteering and community building. Here on the farm, we are open to the public for free, 365 days a year, figuring out how we can connect with the folks who come through here, so that's related to our visitor experience. My colleague Emily and I had a chance to visit several educational farms this fall through the Farm-Based Education Network. And that was really eye-opening to see what other peer organizations are doing with their farmyard type areas. So we're looking forward to working with a number of Eagle Scout volunteers to bring some really dynamic, interesting, tactile, self-service learning opportunities, starting with at least our younger visitors, things that they can interact with and be learning more about our livestock, maybe about the solar panels, plants and vegetables, everything in between. Erin and others continue to work on our ambassador and docent program as well, to have even more friendly faces, if you can believe it, here on the farm, engaging visitors, especially on the weekends. And we're thinking this is never maybe the most glittery solution, but one thing we've had a lot of practice with during barn construction is trialing signage and wayfinding around the farm, which at least having not worked at a public place before, I didn't really appreciate the power of that for accessibility, helping people feel at ease and getting around the property. So we're thinking about that over the next 5 years, how we can help people get oriented to our whole campus, as well as our connections with the conservation land. And then finally, the potentially kind of most impactful the thing we're thinking about is how we can raise the Natick Farms profile within our existing area of expertise. So that can look like staff not only attending local, regional, national programs, but also hopefully over the next 5 years presenting at those things, helping the Natick Farm become known as a leader in a lot of what we do. This hands-on experiential education for all ages. We have the Eastern Mass Craft Group in next Wednesday for their meeting here. So even smaller scale things like being able to offer our space for free for other farmers to learn is also in that dimension of raising our profile, serving more people.
Oops. If we could just take a sec to admire Erin's work, which is on the wall over there. There's big copies over there. There's also a copy here on the table, which we can pass around and look at. But this is the glossy, fun version of all the work that we did for about a year. We worked with SOAR, and it was a really amazing process. It was something that Jen actually told us about working with a previous nonprofit. And SOAR is made up of a group of retired consultants, and they helped us through the entire process from looking at our strengths, our weaknesses, the stakeholder engagement piece, leading us to the objectives, gleaning all those things down. And even now, we're still meeting with them just to keep paring everything down. Thanks, Henry. Because we have big, bold plans, but they're also wise enough to say, you need to take them a couple at a time, right? And so I think it's been a really amazing process working with them. And it's really lent us to this, which we hope to be sharing more publicly the next couple of weeks or so. The barn opening, other things with donors when we go out on fundraising efforts. And it's just a beautiful piece that Erin's put together. So thanks, Erin, for that. So from a financial perspective, a financial analysis, this kind of goes back a little bit to that piece I talked about before, where we all kind of coexist and depend upon each other, not one enterprise, if we can call them that. We've got, it's unfortunate because the colors here, not the colors there, but what this demonstrates is, the education really works well with the production works well with the internal ops. And so all these things kind of work together. None of them can exist by themselves. And I think that really speaks to the level of resiliency that we have here. For example, with our products, like that's an enterprise where there's so many variables, but we can work really well with the education things to take some of those variables out and really create stability within the organization. I was looking at some numbers from 2008 that I recently found, and the education still continued. Even then, it was a big piece now, and it still continues to be a big piece. So it's really what we do. As Linda would say, education is our greatest crop, and that still harkens. That's the same exact fact. It's one of the biggest pieces that we do here. But again, all of them are very important. We all coexist together. It's a big piece. In terms of the expenses, this is something that has actually changed from those 2008 numbers that I recently saw. We've really invested in our staff, as Catherine talked about. And so that piece of the staff, full-time, part-time, teams, all that piece of that puzzle has gotten a lot bigger. And I feel very proud of the fact that we are able to provide and be very closely aligned with other organizations that are in this area. We're either matching or even above what other organizations are able to provide in terms of compensation for their employees, which is a really important thing. And then the other pieces are just stuff, operational, and then all the boring stuff like taxes, right? Looking ahead, Erin, you've got to talk about this.
It's full credit.
Which you are also well known for putting hats on goats, and I can't see one over there. Like Giuseppe, you love to put a little construction hat on Giuseppe. Yes. So as we've looked beyond or behind us, now we're going to look ahead for just a second here to the 2024, which we're currently in, the completion of the barn and the greenhouse. We do have a temporary occupancy permit to start using the barn. That's why we have some things in there right now. And we're super excited to be using that space. It's a beautiful space. As Mary alluded to, you go in there, you smell the apples, you smell the hay. It's a really like wonderful space. But just looking about, there's just history is being made in there when you can see the names. And then the plaques which will come very soon. It's just a testament to this community and how much they gave to help support that. Hopefully in a month or two we'll be cutting a ribbon or something like that. No pressure, Mary. But the big we'll talk to Giuseppe with his construction hat. But the big news in 2024 is the farm turns 50. So starting in 1974, I started as Red Wing Farm down at Broadmoor and moved up here in the 80s with Linda, George Ames, and now we're turning 50. So there'll be lots of 50th activities going on. One of the things that I'm really excited about, if you're familiar with StoryCorps, it's an NPR kind of thing where people will tell stories. I'm really excited. We have 50 different folks from the 50 years that have been here telling stories about the farm, and they'll be released every single week. So we have folks like Linda or Barbara or Henry Dickey, Henry Barth. Lots of people are going to get on a list. Who's added you right there. This place has meant so much to so many people, and we want to be able to tell that story. So one of those stories is going to be released every single week starting mid 2024 as a way to remember all who've given so much to this place. And with that, thank you. Questions? I also need to repeat the question if someone asks. I do remember that.
Ask the question, Casey, what are you most excited for?
So the question is, what am I most excited for 2024? Do you have an answer? You can also answer right away. For me, something I'm really excited about is we've been working really closely with the Keefe Tech Regional School. And this year, we've been working with them for, it's crazy, but about 6 years on a volunteer basis. And so this year, we were able to partner with them and do 2 co-op experiences for them, one started this week and one's going to start in 2 weeks. It's like the perfect confluence of our production, our education all together. And it's a paid experience for them, and I'm really excited for them. Jake started this week, and Astro is going to start in 2 weeks. So it's really wonderful to bring them in to the fold. What are you most excited about?
I've been thinking a lot about teacher development, how we can invest in the teachers, of course, not just on the compensation side, but helping them with their learning on the farm. There's that wonderful multi-generational mentoring that's happening that I mentioned. My hope is to try to get the teachers off site a little bit more, to go maybe visit some of the properties that Emily and I had a chance to visit this spring. Maybe go shadow a day at a different forest preschool, see how they do things. I think it's always, or I often find it very energizing to go just see what's happening other places, to bring back lots of new ideas. And all things considered, the density of educational farms in Eastern Massachusetts is pretty good. So I'm hoping to be able to help the teachers get out there more and see what they might be able to bring back to our programs here.
I guess that means it's time for second dessert, everybody. Make sure you try Henry's German chocolate cake. Yes. Oh, voting. Go ahead.
I believe
Sure.
makes it easier. So if I remember rightly, and I should have checked them before I came here, but our bylaws ask for demand that every year in the annual meeting, the members basically validate the board. I would say approves a strong word, but it's validate the board. So I basically need someone in the audience to propose that we approve this suite of board members and officers. Someone can second it, and then we can vote.
I'd like to propose a vote to accept the current 2024 poll numbers.
I'd like to second that vote.
Okay, so that's still you recommended a max. Second, so all those in favour? Okay, it was unanimous for all members. Do you remember? Okay, all right, so all members were unanimously yes. The farm staff abstained, I think, unless you were against. Okay, unanimously approved, thank you.